Hello everyone, Jai Hind and welcome to the platform of Shri Ram's IAS. In today's session, we'll be discussing about the schedules of the Constitution of India. That would be our topic of discussion in today's session. Now, before moving ahead and discussing about schedules of India, let me tell you that at Shri Ram's IAS, we are offering you with free 1:1 mentorship where you can get your doubts resolved, your solutions, you can get the solutions to your problems if you are encountering any while preparing for the UPSC Civil Services examination. And for this, what you have to do is you have to just click on the description that is given below this video, and in the description box you will find that there is a Google form that you have to click and you have to fill, and through this you can gain this free mentorship program that we are running, and we are helping out the students like you who are facing any difficulties while preparing for the Civil Services examination at Shri Ram's IAS. Now, coming back to the schedules of the Indian Constitution that we are talking about. Now, what is the concept and significance of these schedules that we have in our Constitution? So, whenever you go and you buy any book, you must have seen that there is certain appendix that are there at the back of the book. In the same manner, when you have seen, you must have seen the previous notification of the UPSC examination, you must have seen that there are certain forms which are attached at the end of the notification in the form of appendices. So that is what the schedules are basically. They are appendices or they are appendix where we have various list tables as well as procedural details which have been provided so that they could supplement the constitutional provisions which are there. At the same time, they are also the framework for the operation of the Constitution because they provide the granular structure for the implementation of the constitutional ideals into the practice. And also they are of dynamic and adaptable nature because we know that the Constitution had been amended more than hundreds of the time. So when we talk about these schedules of the Constitution, the original Constitution of India had only 8 schedules when the Constitution of India was implemented and it was enforced on 26 January 1950. But later on, the schedules have been, there were 4 schedules which were added, and now we have total 12 schedules to the Constitution of India. Now, when it comes to the historical evolution, so in 1950, we had originally only 8 schedules which were there. But later on, by 1951, there was a 9th schedule that was added by the first amendment, and that was for the protection of the Land Reforms Act, which were later on, they were made applicable in India. In 1975, the 10th schedule was added. It was added by 35th Amendment Act when Sikkim was associated with the Union of India. However, by 36th Amendment Act, Sikkim was made a state in the Union of India, and later on, the 10th schedule was repealed. However, by 52nd Amendment Act in 1985, the 10th schedule was once again added. Now, this time it was added in 1985 for the anti-defection law. Alright, for the anti-defection law where the people or the person who have been elected or nominated by the parties, they do not defect their parties. So that was anti-defection law, and for that purpose, the 10th schedule was added. And later on, in 1992, by 73rd and 74th Amendment Act, the 11th and 12th schedules were added to the Constitution of India. Now, these are the different schedules that are there. We have 12 schedules. The first schedule deals with state and the union territories, provide for the federal structure. We have second schedule that deals with salaries and emoluments of the officials, and it provides for the salaries of various constitutional functionaries which we have. Then we have the forms of oaths and affirmation under Schedule 3. And then we have Schedule 4 that leads or it details the Rajya Sabha allocation, the seats which have been allocated in Rajya Sabha according to the different states. And also we have administration of scheduled areas in 5th schedule, and then in the 6th schedule we have tribal areas or the adult tribal areas which are there in the northeast. Alright, then we have division of power, or we have 3 separate lists in the 7th schedule that deals with the federal structure of federalism that we have in India. Then 8th schedule is about the official languages, and then we have 9th schedule, I told you this is about the Land Reforms Act that we have, and then we have 10th schedule for anti-defection, 11th for the Panchayati Raj, and 12th for the municipalities. You can remember this with a very simple mnemonic, and that is tears of old PM. Alright, so it is tears of old PM. Alright, so this is the mnemonic that you can use for remembering these schedules. T for territories, E for emoluments, A for affirmation, oath and affirmation, R for Rajya Sabha, then S for scheduled areas, O for other tribal areas, F for federal principle, and then O for the official languages, L for the land reforms, D for the defection, and P for Panchayati Raj, and M for the municipalities. Alright, so with this mnemonic, you can remember these different schedules that we have. Now, the first schedule is about the state and union territories, which list the names, territories, as well as the alterations of the Indian states and the union territories. We have the part A, where the states which have been given the full statehood have been mentioned, and we have part B, where union territories which are under the central control have been mentioned. So when I was talking about the part 1 of the constitution, we have spoken about the we have spoken about article 2 and article 3. So the parliament has the complete privilege or the the power to make any amendments when it comes to the state, and that forms the basis. This complete schedule forms the basis for the articles that we have in part 1, that is from articles 1 to 4. These are the key amendments that you have to remember. We have the State Reorganization Act in 1956 that led to the arrangement of the states on the basis of language or linguistic basis. And then recently we had in 2019, we have Jammu and Kashmir bifurcation, where we have now these two union territories which have been crafted. We have Jammu and Kashmir as well as Ladakh. Alright, and like I said, Parliament has the sole authority when it comes to the states and union territories or making any territorial changes in India. The next schedule is the second schedule that deals with the salaries and emoluments of the constitutional functionaries that we have, whether it is the president and the governor. Alright, whatever the remuneration for them will be there. Alright, and along with this, we have judiciary as well, the salaries of Supreme Court and High Court judges that protects their judicial autonomy. Alright, so that their salaries could not be lowered for their disadvantages. Alright, we have other constitutional officers as well, like CAG, we have Speaker of the Lok Sabha and other officials, so that their institutional integrity can be maintained. So their salary and emoluments have been given under second schedule of the Constitution of India. This is divided into 5 parts. We have part A to part E, where we have different categories of the officials that have been covered, and it is periodically revised through Finance Commission and as well as various constitutional amendments which have been made. Alright, it is intrinsically linked with separation of power doctrine that we have under Constitution of India. The third schedule is about oath and affirmation. When it comes to the oath is basically the moral as well as the legal commitment to the constitution authority or the constitutional supremacy. And when it comes to the oaths and affirmation, we have different forms of the oath and affirmation that a person, whenever he is elected or he gets nominated to any position under the constitution, he has to make an oath. He has to make an oath, and that form or the kind of the oath or the pattern is mentioned under the third schedule of the constitution. We have the oaths that have been given for the president as well as for the vice president over here. We have the oath for the minister and the judges as well, where they have the executive and judicial commitment to constitutional values, and also the oath for the member of parliaments as well as for the member of legislative assemblies. Alright, so over here when it comes to the president and vice president, this has been rooted under the constitution under Article 60 and Article 159 of the Constitution of India. Now, the next schedule is fourth schedule, which states or which gives the allocation of seats in Rajya Sabha. When it comes to US and comparison between US and Indian Constitution. So basically the upper house of the parliament, that is Rajya Sabha, it can be compared with Senate that is there in the USA. However, when it comes to Senate, in USA there are senators which are elected. Now, there the representation is from the states. Alright, when it comes to the Senate, they represent their respective states which are there in the USA. And over there, the amount or the number of the senators from each state is 2. All right, that is, it is equally divided whether or irrespective of the population of the state. But that is not the scenario when it comes to the Indian constitutional setup that we have, because in Rajya Sabha, which is upper house or also known as Council of the States, there the population is the basis on which the number of the seats have been divided. So we do not have equal seats which have been distributed to all the states, but the seats have been divided on the basis of the population of the state that we have. So the allocation of the seats in Rajya Sabha had been given under 4th schedule, where the distribution of the Rajya Sabha seat had been divided between the state as well as the union territories, and we have total seats 250 seats which are there in the Rajya Sabha maximum seat allocation, and right now the current is 245 seats in the Rajya Sabha that we have. Alright, so this ensures the federal balance that we have and also representation of diverse regional interest, and also this can be amended on the basis of the caste-based reorganization to reflect the demographic changes as well. Alright, now the next is the 5th schedule of the Constitution that provides for the administration of the scheduled areas. Over here, when it comes to the scheduled areas or the tribes that we have, excluding the northeast region or ATMM, that is given under the 6th schedule. So there are certain areas where we have the tribes which are living. Like for example, we are talking about Jharkhand, we are talking about Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Rajasthan as well. So in these regions where the tribes are living, so there have to be special provision for safeguarding these tribal rights. So for that, or for the administration of these scheduled areas, we have the 5th schedule that have been created, or it has been incorporated into the constitution. And over here we have key article that it deals with, that is article 244 first 244(1). Now over here we have TAC, or Tribes Advisory Council, which are the constitutional bodies which have been constituted here for giving or advising on the tribal welfare and protection, so that over here the land of the tribes, the various tribes which are living, along with land, the culture as well as the governance rights of these Adivasis or the tribes can be protected. So this is the 5th schedule of the Constitution. Next comes the 6th schedule, that is the tribal areas of Northeast, or you can remember this with ATMM. That is, it is applied to Assam. Along with Assam, we have Tripura, Meghalaya and Mizoram. So we have these 4 states for which we have the autonomous district councils which have been created over here. Now, what is the difference between TAC and autonomous district councils? Over here, the TAC is basically an advisory council, but these council, the autonomous district council, have been provided with legislative, judicial as well as executive power for their self-governance over there in these 4 different states. All right, and again, the motive is same. The motive is same, that is protection of the unique custom, languages as well as tradition of these tribes, and also this provides for the asymmetric federalism where the distinct identities have been recognized. All right, so it portrays or it reflects India's commitment to asymmetric federalism as well as the cultural diversity that we have in India. Now, the next schedule, it is very important, have been asked lots of time in your prelims as well as in your mains examination for UPSC, and that is the division of power under the 7th schedule of the Constitution. Over here we have 3 different lists, that is union list, we have state list and the concurrent list. On the union list, the center can legislate. The center can legislate on the union list. On the state list, it is the state that legislate, and on the concurrent list, both can legislate or they can make laws. So in union list, we have 100 subjects. The subjects which are quite important and strategic, like defense, we have foreign affairs, banking, currency. So that is the exclusive domain of the parliament where the parliament can make laws. At the same time, when it comes to state list, we have 61 subjects right now, and over here we have the state subjects like police, we have public health, agriculture, local government, where the state legislature have the complete jurisdiction. However, there are certain conditions where the parliament can also legislate on the state subjects that we will discuss in the future. Alright, then we have the concurrent list where both have the legislative power. They can make laws, like for example, we have the education, forest, marriage and contracts. We have such 52 subjects which are there in the concurrent list. And over here, it ensures the federal balance that we have. I told you what is meant by federalism. Federalism simply means division of power. All right, if there would be a division of power, that have to be written, and this is the where this schedule is where you can say that India has a federal structure. All right, and there had been key amendments here. We have the 42nd Amendment Act, where the education was made a concurrent, it was transferred to the concurrent right or the list. And then there was 101st Amendment as well for the implementation of the GST Act. All right. In the state of West Bengal versus Union of India in 1963, the federal supremacy in concurrent matters were upheld by the Supreme Court. The next schedule is the 8th schedule that provides for the official languages. Originally we had 14 languages in the constitution, which were recognized as the official language, but now we have 22nd languages which have been amended or expanded through various amendments which were done. Like for example, we had the 71st Amendment in 1992 which added Konkani, Manipuri as well as Nepali, and there was the 92nd Amendment Act in 2003 which added 4 different languages: Bodo, Dogri, Maithili and Santali as well. This provides or this promotes linguistic diversity in our nation and also fosters the cohesion and thus protecting the national unity that we have, and also it forms the basis for the Article 344 implementation as well. Now there is an ongoing debate about inclusion of certain more languages as the official languages, like for example Rajasthani, Bhojpuri or Tulu, but this is still pending. So we have total 22 languages which are part of the official languages under 8th schedule of the constitution. The next is the 9th schedule, and it deals with the land reforms and also the judicial immunity that had been provided for these land reforms. In the 1951, this was added by the First Amendment, and it was to protect the land reform legislation, because at this point of time, what was there? The right to property was a fundamental right. And for the land reforms, the land that was with the zamindars, that was there with the landholders, the zamindars which were there, and they had large chunk of land that had to be taken and then had to be redistributed to the farmers. So what happened over here is that there were certain land reform acts which were added over here, and they were provided with the judicial immunity that the judicial review cannot lie over them. At the same time, the objective was to shield these laws from the judicial review under Article 31B. And in 2007, there was the landmark ruling over here, Ayar Kaulo versus State of Tamil Nadu, where it was said that the laws which were post 1973, all right, post 1973, or the landmark judgment where the basic structure doctrine was laid down by the Supreme Court, the Keshwanand Bharti case. So over here in Ayar Kaulo case, the Supreme Court said that after the Keshwanand Bharti case, if you have added any of the laws over here, all right, so they would be subject to basic structure test, and if they violate the basic structure test, they could be judicially reviewed by the judiciary. Right now, we have more than 280 plus laws which have been listed with ongoing scrutiny on these laws. Also, this had been a controversial schedule because what the governments did was that it was initially added because of the land reforms, all right, for the Land Reforms Act. But over here, this schedule was misused by various governments because they tried to shield their different political motivated laws from the constitutional revision or the judicial revision, and that led to the misuse of this schedule as well. The next schedule is 10th schedule that deals with anti-defection law. All right, this was added by 52nd Amendment Act and linked with Articles 102(2) and 191 Clause 2. All right, the objective is to prevent the political defection and to ensure that there would be stability and ethical governance in the system. Now, what happened was this law was made during the regime of Rajiv Gandhi, but before that, what happened was that there was lots of defection that was going on, and that led to the political instability as well. There were certain governments which were formed, and then the next day they were actually out of the power, because certain members, they will just leave the political party and then they will join the another party, and then the another government would be formed, and that led to political instability. So over here, this anti-defection law was introduced so that if any person who voluntarily gives the resignation of the party or he defies the whip of the party, then he is considered as defected from the party and he could be expelled, and his membership can be taken whether it is of the member of parliament or the member of legislative assembly or the council. Over here, the authority lies with the speaker and the chairman. They decide for the disqualification of any member when it comes to the defection, and also there is limited scope of the judicial review after there was a case Kyoto Holohan in 1992. Alright, so that is very, very important. And then there was another amendment also after 52nd Amendment Act. There was 91st Amendment Act in 2003 which limited the Council of Ministers to 15% of the strength of the legislature or the parliament. The next schedule is 11th schedule that deals with the Panchayati Raj. Alright, that gives the power to the rural people. This was added by the 73rd Amendment to the Constitution, and it has 29 subjects which have been devolved to the Panchayati Raj, like for example for the agriculture and land improvement, primary health and sanitation, education and libraries, and also rural housing and drinking water. The constitutional basis for this is Article 243G, and it strengthens the grassroots democracy through Gram Sabha and also gives the power to the people at the grassroots level. In the same manner, the 74th Amendment Act added the 12th schedule to the Constitution, which provides for the different powers or the subjects which have been devolved to the municipalities or to the urban self-governance for the urban planning, whether it is for the town planning, land use regulation, or the development control. For the public services in the urban areas, whether it is water supply, you all must be giving the water tax, right? Water supply, sanitation, waste management system, all right? And along with this, for the infrastructure as well, whether it is public transport, roads, transport, bridges, and even urban mobility. All right, so this was added by 74th Amendment, and there are total 18 subjects which have been given or they find their constitutional basis under Article 243W and 243ZE. And we can see that this had also seen a political linkage or the mission linkages through the smart cities that we are developing. Alright, we have smart cities mission. Along with this, we have Swachh Bharat and even the Amrut mission that is there. So these are the different or 12 different schedules to the Constitution of India. Now we can summarize or we can categorize them into different schedules. Alright, we have the structural schedules which define the constitutional framework of the Constitution, and there are total 4 schedules. We have the initial 4 schedules which can be clubbed as structural schedules. Then we have protective schedules also. They safeguard minorities as well as the tribal areas or the tribal people. We have 2 schedules, and we have schedules 5th and 6th which can be clubbed over here. We have functional schedules as well which assign the governmental roles, and we have 7th schedule, we have 11th and 12th schedules as well. Alright, and then we have cultural schedules which preserve the identity and diversity through the official languages which have been provided under Schedule 8th. And then we have reformative, where the political and land reforms have been added through the schedule that we are talking about right now is the 9th schedule as well as the 10th schedule. So these are the different schedules, and we can functionally classify them into these 5 different functional heads. Now these are the major amendments which have affected the schedules. Initially, there was first amendment that added the 9th schedule for the land reform protection or the Land Reform Act's protection. Then there was 42nd Amendment Act that modified the 7th schedule and added provisions for the 10th schedule foundation as well. Then we have the 52nd Amendment in 1985 that added anti-defection law under Schedule 10 of the Constitution. And then we have 73rd and 74th Amendment that have added the 11th and 12th schedule to the Constitution. Also, there was 92nd Amendment Act, and that expanded the 8th schedule, and we had the 4 new languages which were added. And then we have 101st Amendment that have altered the 7th schedule for the implementation of GST tax that we have right now in our Constitution. So when it comes to the schedules, they are the living machinery. They are silent yet foundational because they lay down the flexibility. Alright, flexibility, or they shows the flexibility. There had been 4 schedules which were added later on. All right, and our constitution had been modified for more than hundreds of time, and the constitution has survived that. All right, they lay down the federal balance where we have the central authority and the states autonomy also that has been maintained through the proper separation of power that has been given under the federal principle of division of power under Schedule 7 of the Constitution, and also it includes the diversity as well. We have minorities, tribes, language and cultures that have been provided by these various schedules which are there. So in a manner, you can say that these schedules, they translate the philosophy of the Constitution into administrative reality, and they are the bridge that is between the ideals as well as the practicality or the institutions that have been laid down. So that would be all in today's session. I hope that now you have complete idea about the 12 schedules of the Constitution that are there in the Constitution. Now, from tomorrow, I know that I've told you in the previous session that we'll be starting with the Union Executive, but we'll be starting with the Executive from the next session or the next video that you will see over here. So till then, please take care of yourself, apna dhyan rakhein, and please do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel for more such interesting polity updates in or polity concepts in 20 minutes. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care and Jai Hind.